Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Direct to Video Connoisseur. I am Jamie, one of your regular co hosts, and sadly, I'm still missing my co host, Matt. He is still away after being married. Congratulations once again to him. But in his stead, I have sitting in his spot, keeping his seat warm. Everyone knows him, everyone loves him, and I am no exception to that rule. I am so pleased to welcome Mr. Jon Cross.
Hello, 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 and I'm the gentleman who you can probably hear my 14 fans going in the background. It is hot and sticky here in New York City on this Wednesday night, so I apologize if there's a lot of background noise, but suck it up and deal with it, scummers. It's also lovely to be here again.
Hank, I'm so glad you could stop bitching for a moment to acknowledge that.
And it's wonderful to be recording with Jamie again. She's always a pleasure and a peach, and it's fantastic. And thank you very much for letting me step into Matt's shoes. Big shoes to fill, and keeping his chair warm, not so difficult as I pass copious amounts of wind, but he has big feet. That's all I'm going to say.
I do miss Matt. I really do.
Yeah, so do I.
It's a fun show to do with him, and I always look forward to it. But if someone has to sit in his place, I can think of none better than you, because I always enjoy recording with you. I just did that, as a matter of fact. Mo and I joined you for an upcoming episode of The Diner.
True. Yep, we did.
And that was a lot of fun.
Yes, talking Herschel Gordon Lewis.
Yeah, we always have fun together. So, and you've got an interview with HGL himself.
I have. I've got an interview with Herschel Gordon Lewis, which I've already done, and I can promise the people that he was, because I was a little nervous. He's obviously older, and he's known for being kind of cantankerous. You know, he has said in interviews, I'd never heard him before, but I'd read some interviews where he'd sort of said, you know, that he was sort of grumpy and cantankerous and so on. And Mike Murphy had told me he'd seen a documentary about him where the documentarian had left some very unfortunate shit in the movie. I couldn't quite believe it, about him, you know, peeing himself and stuff. He's an older gentleman and things, and the documentarian had left that in the documentary, and I don't know the name of that, and I was like, well, that seems fucking weird. Anyway, I was kind of, you know, worried, concerned that talking to him was going to be difficult over the telephone, and, you know, some of the questions I had prepared I thought were possibly a little, you know, complex or whatever, or I wanted him to kind of open up, and I was like, oh no, what's going to happen? And all I can report is that he was kind, generous, open, friendly, sharing of fantastic stories, seems to have a steel trap of a memory, seems to be quick-witted on the ball. I mean, I'm sure some of the stuff he said before, but even so, he seemed to be sharp as a tack, and locked as a steel box. So, yeah, it was great. It was really, really good. Really happy with that interview. Fantastic.
Well, I'm so excited. I do love when you do interviews. You always do them so well. And so I'm looking forward to that, because I'm looking forward to what Herschel has to say. You know, old and cantankerous or not. Some of my favorite people are old and cantankerous. I'm looking at you, Mo.
Hey, I'm pretty cantankerous too, my dear, so.
Yes, but you're not old.
I'm what do you mean?
You're younger than me. If I call you old, I'm calling myself old. I'm not.
Mo's only a year older than me or something.
I know. He just seems old. He is also younger than me, but he just seems old. It fits him.
Mo and I have old souls, is how you describe people.
Well, then get new shoes. I know, that was quick. So
I enjoyed that.
I don't usually enjoy it when it's so quick, but that was not bad. So tonight, the meat of our discussion is going to be the film In Bruges.
Hello?
Starring, yes, I'm here.
Okay.
The film In Bruges, starring Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson and Ralph Fiennes, and mostly Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson.
Yes.
So it
Fucking
takes place
in Bruges. Yeah.
It takes place in Bruges, in Belgium.
Yeah.
Which is apparently, it turns out that's where that is. Never knew. But so we're going to be talking about that.
It's like a fucking fairy tale place, I understand.
And I'm so excited because I know that means you're going to be breaking out your accent quite a bit,
Right.
and I
Yes.
love when you do that shit. So,
I could
but
do Ralph Fiennes' character if you like. I could do Harry if you want.
you can do anything you want.
All right, baby.
You know, before we do that, though, I want to get out some business. What's happening? Oh,
Put your
last night was
business
the
out
third
there.
episode. Yeah, last night was the third episode of the Insomniacs playlist, and I had a very fun time covering some murder ballads. So that was a fun theme. And I will be visiting that one again because there are so many that I wanted to play, and I only had a limited amount of time. But I'm actually, I'm considering going longer with that show. I have had quite a bit of feedback where people want more, and mainly that's from me.
Yeah.
Because
But
I
we
want
do want more of you, Jamie. Always,
to do
always
it.
more of you. Apparently, your 17 podcasts that you're on is not enough. I would actually say that it's not enough because I think that what you get with the Insomniacs playlist is unfiltered, unhindered, and ungrouped Jamie Jenkins, rather than with all the other podcasts. No disrespect to your wonderful co-hosts or anything like that. You are somewhat suppressed or part of a group by the other hosts and things. So
Well, that's true. And then there is, I have taken away the miracle of editing. And when I posted the shows on the at Legion Podcast, which is where they sit in archive after I do them live. So if anyone misses them live and you care to listen to it archived, you can always go to legionpodcast.com and look under the Insomniacs playlist. I have 3 episodes there. Check them out. But I had considered editing the show whenever I post them there. And then I thought, well, you know, if people who sit with me when I'm doing it live have to suffer through my flubs and my stumbling and whatever else I happen to do, then why should people who download it get to fare any better? So I think it sort of just, I don't know, gives them the whole experience, and I'm not ashamed of that. It's a live show. Shit happens.
damn right it does.
So
And I like it when it happens. And when I listen back to the podcast version, I like to put myself mentally back where I was or where you were at the time and, pretend that it's all happening live. I think that's one of the pleasures of doing this thing on Mixler is when you download it and put it up. I don't really edit it. I mean, I don't edit Crosstalk when I put it up on as a podcast unless there's been a technical issue or some big gap or something like that. But all the flubs and bloopers are left in, and it's kind of podcasting on the fly. It's exciting.
yeah, it is, and so that's the way I decided to leave it. And but back to extending it, though, I'm thinking I have so much fun curating the playlist. That's one of my favorite things to do, and putting it in order and deciding what to play and deciding what to say about each. I love it so much. So it'd be completely indulgent for me to make this show any longer than it already is. But I feel like even when I listen to it, because I listen to it at work the next day while I'm working, because I mean, it's a playlist I enjoy, obviously. I put it together myself. So I want to listen to it later. So I end up listening to the shows a couple of times if I'm in the mood for that type of music. And I find that they go by very quickly. When you're working, an hour it just goes. So and plus I find that you don't, with as much as I blabber on the show, I don't get to put as many songs as if I were to just shut up and play straight music. But I'm not going to do that because part of the fun for me is to talk about why I'm doing it and all. I mean, it's totally indulgent. I admit that. This is the
Never,
thing. This
ever
is for
remove
me.
your blabbering. Ever.
Thank you,
We love the
darling. But
blabbering.
it's totally for me. And if anybody else happens to enjoy it, yay! I'm so excited. And I love when people join me in the chat room, and it's a wonderful experience. So I'm going to stop talking about that now because that is way too much.
It's fine.
Is there anything you want to bring up before we start discussing the film?
No, just please tune in to Crosstalk tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, we've got the exciting Rachel Bloom as our guest. She's a comedian, a writer, a musician, an internet personality. She's got a show coming up on Showtime. Well, a pilot she's making for a show coming up on Showtime, directed by the guy who did 500 Days of Summer and Spider-Man, the new one. So that's exciting. We'll be talking about that. So yeah, please do listen to that. If you're listening to this, stick around all night. We've got a great evening of shows.
Yeah. Well, we are. What?
What? Huh? Who?
See, that's
Where?
one of those things I was talking about earlier. That's
Sure.
exactly what I'm talking about. And we are what's happening on Wednesday night. Like
Oh
we
yeah.
are Wednesday night here, and
Hells
well,
yes.
and Mo as well. Um,
Well, he's dropped Drunk on VHS for the moment.
right,
It's
he's on
on
hiatus.
permanent temporary hiatus. Yeah.
Yeah, which is, that show. I have a, I don't know, that show is like a lover who leaves and comes back and leaves and comes back
Yeah.
and leaves and comes back, and you kick its ass out the door when it decides to leave you because you're angry and you're hurt. But then the moment it comes back, you let it in with open arms because you really did miss it the whole time and you were just being stubborn.
Exactly.
That's exactly Drunk on VHS.
No, and I'm sad to see, obviously I was the co-host for a while, and I don't think that's the reason why Mo has dropped the show, but I wouldn't blame him if it was. I like to believe that Mo would be able to say, listen, John, fuck off. I really hope that would be the case. But no, I understand where Mo is coming from. The desire to put on one of these things and do one of these things each week can wane at certain points, and it can take a lot of energy and effort to get back into it. Plus he's got work things to think about, and girlfriend things to think about, and life things to think about, and everything else. So nobody can blame him. I think it's wonderful as long as he keeps doing the wrestling. As long as we keep hearing from Mo in some regards, then I'll be happy. But whenever Drunk on VHS comes back, I will happy to either be a guest, a co-host, or have nothing to do with it at all, just as long as it does eventually come back.
I agree with all of that.
Nice.
So, okay. Well, you want to talk about the movie now?
Sure, I'm happy
Should
to
we do
talk
that?
about... Yeah, we can talk
Should
about
we do that?
fucking
Okay.
in Bruges.
All right.
Sure.
So we're going to be talking about In Bruges. And as I said earlier, that stars Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson and Ralph Fiennes and Clement runs off the page. I don't know her name. Is it like Clementine?
I don't even have it on. Let me
Okay.
bring it up, and then I will
doesn't
be able
matter.
to tell you.
It doesn't matter really.
Oh, my
I don't care.
darling. Oh,
What
my
matters in
darling.
this film is Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, really.
Right.
This was directed by Martin McDonagh.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, after a job goes wrong in London, these two hitmen are ordered to hide out at this bed and breakfast in Bruges, which is in Belgium, until their boss contacts them and lets them know what he wants them to do next. And so those two hitmen are... And what is it about the English in movies about hitmen? That seems to be a thing.
We can, at the moment, we can do seemingly one of three things. The British film industry has been reduced to...
I meant to say actually British, not just English, but...
Yeah, the British, Irish, whatever.
All of you.
That collection of islands, United Kingdom of Great Britain and the Republic of Ireland, which is its official stupid long title. Get rid of the walls, people. Just all be one fucking place. I know that would all confuse your religions and your fucking clans.
You already separate yourselves from Europe. It's like,
Right.
over in Europe.
Ugh.
Like,
Yeah. Anyway.
okay.
I mean Europe, the mainland. Anyway, let's not
I
get
know.
into it. So the United Kingdom and of Great Britain and the Republic of Ireland, that cluster of things has been reduced to a series of stories. And those stories are, I have a kid who's in a poor working class neighborhood, normally in the north or in Ireland or something like that, who wants to dance, sing, paint, run, like you name it, like some kind of thing that is frowned upon because he should be down the mine or he should be whatever, right? That's one storyline. That's got your Billy Elliots and your Little Voices and all that kind of stuff covered, right?
Right.
Then you've got your London gangster movie, which was brought back into the fore by Guy Ritchie, riffing most definitely on films like Mona Lisa and The Long Good Friday and Villain and other such films from the 70s and 80s from Britain. And that has led to any number of things from Gangster Number One right up to this movie, essentially. Then you have Richard Curtis rom-coms. We can do those just. But you need at least 2 or 3 American stars attached to that now. You can't just go ahead and do that with British people. And then, although there are a couple, I think like Emma Thompson has done a couple that are just kind of, we get the odd kind of light-hearted comedy, romp, crime type thing, which Emma Thompson. And then lastly, we get costume dramas. And that's kind of all we can do. We can't really do anything other than that. That's kind of all we can do. And that's our lot, really. And in fact...
That was really just a rhetorical question, but thank you for the history. No, I'm kidding.
I'm now hiding behind my mic.
I'm teasing you, but you're absolutely right, and everything that you said is absolutely correct.
It's an endless frustration to people who come from the glorious United Kingdom about our film industry. It really, really is. Because we don't do action, we don't really do horror, we don't really do comedy. I mean, there's been the odd one or two, so don't think I'm dismissing it. But, something like the Edgar Wright movies, Simon Pegg movies, while it's fine and understandable, they all want to go to Hollywood and do their thing. Really, they're the only kind of comedic action thing happening in the UK at the moment. And you've got, other people like Monty Python or whatever who did 3 or 4.
Thank you. I was going to say Zomcoms. Someone in the chat roomed up, and that apparently is a thing too that happens quite a bit. But
what, Zomcoms? Well, I mean, since Shaun of the Dead, there's been a couple, and you've got like 28 Days Later. Like I say, there are examples. Dog Soldiers is another one. There are examples, Neil Marshall and people like that who are making movies over there. Edgar Wright, who's made movies over there. Occasionally Statham goes back and does a movie over there. Like, there are examples of other filmmaking, but it's not as broad or as interesting, and we certainly don't produce genre films the way that I wish we did. And stuff like Monty Python and stuff like Edgar Wright movies, while they're incredibly popular worldwide, they never, ever, ever get any respect from the British film industry. BAFTA and people like that never recognize them at all. I think Monty Python as a whole got 1 BAFTA their whole career. And they supported the British film industry essentially for generation. I mean, they couldn't even raise money for Life of Brian through British means, you know what I mean? Terry Gilliam can't get anything financed in the UK. He has to go to Europe and everything. So it's kind of fucking annoying and frustrating. It really is.
Well, I will say that, and then, well, all of that is true, though. I will say that what they do turn out tends to be really fucking good. I mean, you've got filmmakers like Ben Wheatley.
Right, he's up and coming short, but I find his stuff a little, I'm not a fan.
Really, I am a fan. It's a little, not sure the word I can think of to...
It's a little knowing.
Describe it, but I am a fan so far. And then we have films like this.
Yes.
Getting around to the film we're actually talking about.
Sure.
In Bruges, which... This was actually the first time I've seen it. It's one of those films that had been on my list to see pretty much since it came out, and I just, for whatever reason, never have. And then every time it comes up in conversation, like, you really haven't seen it? No, I haven't seen it, And so when you were going to be on the show and we were trying to decide what to watch, you threw it out there. I'm like, fuck yes, I want to watch that, because I've been trying to get myself to watch it for a very long time. But as you know very well, it's very difficult for me to squeeze in movies to watch just because I want to.
Right.
I end up having a lot of movies that I have to. And so being able to work something like that into a show, it just is perfect.
Yes.
Because it solves all kinds of problems. And so thanks to you and your wonderful suggestion, I finally got to watch this film, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, and it was direct-to-video in the US, so we can claim that. I mean, it probably screened at a couple of art house theaters.
I think it had a very limited release, but I don't care. I'm still going to... I don't really care. You know how much of a stickler we are for that? Because we're not. I mean,
right, exactly.
We covered Parker. I mean, come on.
Sure.
If we can cover Parker and bend the rules for that, then this one could have played right down the street from me, and I would still say, yeah, we're going to do it.
Yeah, we're going to do it in Bruges. Yeah. And the guy who made it, Martin McDonagh, his brother, whose name is James Michael McDonagh, with his help in production and co-writing and so on, has made a couple of movies himself as well. And much like Martin, his first movie... John Michael McDonagh's first movie, The Guard, which was set in Ireland, is also the better of the two movies. Because John Michael McDonagh did The Guard and then went on to do Calvary, which is still out at the moment doing the art house circuit. And the other one that Michael McDonagh did was Martin McDonagh did rather, was Seven Psychopaths, which was great and everything, but not a patch on In Bruges in terms of kind of the quick wit and the script and all the rest of it.
Well, let's talk about that. I would love to talk about this script because I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
The wit and the humor are, I mean, laugh out loud funny.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I laughed out loud while watching this film. It was a lot. And a lot of that is the personalities of Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, which are just adorable together.
Gleeson's amazing. Gleeson could sit and read the phone book. I would be happy. Yeah.
Anything he does. And I happen to be a fan of Colin Farrell, and I know that's not completely the popular opinion on that, but I don't
Farrell's
care.
okay.
I like him. And together they are just precious. Like they're just adorable. The faces that they make when they're talking with each other, and Colin Farrell, sometimes he has this cute just little boy quality about him. And they I don't know, they play off each other beautifully. And Ralph Fiennes comes in, and I think he does an amazing job as well.
The film I wanted to ask, have you seen Sexy Beast with Ray Winston?
No, I haven't.
Okay. The Ralph Fiennes character in this, while he plays a completely different role and he's in no way as aggressively psychotic, it's very, very similar to the way Ben Kingsley's character comes into Sexy Beast. While I certainly wouldn't recommend people go out and see all the British gangster movies of the last 15 years, because most of them are awful, I would suggest that if you like this kind of script and you did like In Bruges, then you would genuinely love Sexy Beast. It is a very interesting, different kind of take on the genre.
Well, then I am going to take your word for that because I trust you.
Yes.
And I will seek it out.
But yeah, this is sort of, again, another movie. Have you seen With Nell and I?
You know I haven't because we
because we were going to watch it. Sure, sorry, I'm tired. This movie is like as if With Nell and I were hitmen. It's a very theatrically written script, and what I mean by that is I mean that you could play this like Waiting for Godot or something on a stage as a two-hander with a third person coming in towards the end, and it would equally work. I mean, Bruges is a beautiful setting, and it's filmed very nicely, and obviously there is little moments of action and stuff, but the majority of the movie has that pedigree of a sort of Waiting for Godot, what does it all mean? What are we doing here? Kind of feeling to it, but with a lot of warmth and humor. And he writes, like you say, the hitman character like they're an old married couple. That's how he writes it. It could equally be that,
And it's beautiful, And so between the script, which is very witty and clever and just very well done, and the acting, which brings everything, I cannot imagine two actors playing these characters better. I just really can't. Once I've seen these actors in these roles, I wouldn't wish to see it any other way. The setting it's a beautiful little fairy tale city. It's, you've got old buildings and a fucking big canal. And
Why wouldn't he like it? Has he been down to see the swans? Did he like the swans? It's got fucking swans. It's a fucking fairy tale town. Why wouldn't you like it? Yeah.
I mean, watching this film, like, I know I'm awake, but I feel like I'm in a dream.
Yeah. What did he say? Where's he gone? What's he doing? He said he was in a dream. He said he liked it. He said it was like he was in a dream. Okay, good. I wanted to give him a good time.
Yeah, it's really good. I just don't know. I mean, basically, the synopsis pretty much says it all without giving away too much of what happens. Like, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about giving stuff away?
Well, no. I mean, we can give the setup. I think. I mean,
giving away.
Basically. Two hitmen, they were in London, they've been sent to Bruges, they don't initially know why, although I think...
They don't want to go because it's, like Colin Farrell or
right.
Roy does not want to go because it's a shithole.
Right.
Although he hasn't seen it.
Yeah, he thinks it's a shithole. He's basically the kind of whiny kid of the pair, or the whiny wife or whatever of the pair initially. And Gleeson is happy to go. Gleeson starts off the movie very much as that kind of chirpy, positive attitude. I'm going to look at this as a holiday. We don't know why we're here, so let's not think the worst kind of thing. And it's odd because slowly the situation and the town get to him as well. I mean, there's a beautifully realized scene when he wants to go up the tower, where he does that sort of charming, almost English thing of he's counting out his coins and he says to the guy behind the counter, "Oh, I just want to get rid of my coins." He's just trying to do this like sweet little thing. And then the guy behind the counter is a real fucking job's worth. And although he's got €4.90 and it's €5 to get into the thing, the guy won't let him up the tower. And it's sort of the first obstacle that Gleeson comes across to his kind of trying to maintain this happy-go-lucky kind of vibe. And the moment he comes across this sort of Jobsworth who's like, "No, it's $5 and I'm not going to give it to you for $4.90." That's when the town and the situation slowly start to sort of erode Gleeson's positive attitude. But no one does it more than Farrell, who even when they go to a medieval church and Gleeson wants to go up and see a vial, or what is purported to be a vial of Christ's blood, not even then can like Farrell kind of perk up and even find it even remotely interesting. Even then he's being a sulky little shit. So even Gleeson starts to get dragged down into the negativity of it. But they're basically there in a holding pattern waiting to see what their boss Harry is going to do next. Farrell's last job went very, very wrong, and it's causing him to have something of a existential crisis, and he's kind of deflecting that situation initially with this kind of spoilt brat attitude. That's probably the best way to put it.
I think so. I think you pretty much nailed it. So
without giving stuff away.
I think you can. I mean, but there are other things in the film as well.
Sure.
Roy meets a lovely young woman and also a racist midget.
Yep.
There are two wanky whores and
skanky whores.
Two wank. No, he said wanky.
He said skanky.
He said wanky.
You wouldn't call a whore a wanky. You would call it skanky. He said skanky. Trust me.
I heard him, and I had on my subtitles. He said
well,
wanky.
Your subtitles were.
I heard him.
You wouldn't. Okay.
And I mean, we would say skanky here. And I know that word. I know what it sounds like.
Right.
So if I heard that, then I would know I heard that. She's gonna turn this car around.
Yes. Maybe he said wank. Maybe I'm wrong. I wouldn't. If he does, that's an incredibly odd. You wouldn't.
I understand the connotation of the word, and I know why you're saying he wouldn't say that, but that's what it said he said. So, plus that's what I heard him say. And a racist midget.
Yes.
Who apparently is only racist when he's on cocaine. Yes. So that's okay, I guess. That's.
Fuck off! I'm not leaving. They're filming midgets. What's going on over here? They're filming a midget. Let's go down and have a look. I will not fuck off. They're filming midgets. That's my favorite bit.
I love your Colin Farrell. I do.
Thank you. Again, this is somewhat reminiscent. Have you seen Living in Oblivion?
Nope.
With Steve Buscemi. They're making...
Ooh, no, but I'm intrigued.
It's an indie movie by... Is it Tom DeCillo? Something like that, his name is. He was like a underground leading indie light in the 90s. He didn't quite reach the heights of like a Tarantino or a Kevin Smith or whatever, but he was kind of... Or a Linklater, but he was kind of bubbling around then. And he did a film called Living in Oblivion, which is about making an indie movie, which is maybe where he fell down, because no indie movie maker should make a movie about making an indie movie. That's just too much. But
unless it's an American movie, and then that, I mean, not an American movie as in a movie made in America, but the film, an American movie, which is hilarious.
Right, but isn't that more of like a documentary style type thing? It
is, yes.
Right, yeah, no, this was a fictional piece, but in it, there's a scene where they're filming a dream sequence with a midget, and it's meant to comment, I guess, on David Lynch or Terry Gilliam or one of those filmmakers who makes films in which midgets feature in dream sequences, because them and the dwarf in this movie, in this case, in Living in Oblivion, goes crazy, and he's like, that's typical, just because I'm a dwarf I have to appear in a dream sequence, because you wouldn't have normal people in dream. He kind of has this big long rant about it. So it I'm not trying to say the In Bruges isn't good, but it is derivative of some other things. I mean, it's mining the same area for comedy or for discussion.
Interesting. So how does that hurt your viewing of the film?
No, not at
That
all. I enjoy
knowledge?
it anyway. I mean, there are very few comedy conceits. Like, life is
Well, that's
limited
what I
to
was going
that
to say.
extent.
Just like
So.
action, you know, just
Right,
like with action. So there are very few action plots. There's
right.
just a handful of them, and it's just how you construct it and what you do, what you build around it.
And Living in Oblivion is a fairly obscure film. I mean, you'd have to have really been into movies in the 90s to kind of know about it. So, um, yeah, I don't think In Bruges is kind of imitating it, but it's mining the same kind of territory. I mean, the nice thing is In Bruges is the running gag that Colin Farrell reckons that all midgets at some point have committed suicide. Like, there's loads of famous midgets who have committed
Well,
suicide,
because
which is hilarious.
they get depressed from having people call them short
Short
arse.
asses, right. That guy from Fantasy Island and One at a Time Bandits, I'm sure.
And I know there's another famous one that I'm missing, but I can't.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. Um, yeah, he's. Oh man, it's tough for me which character is my favorite because I love both of them. Brendan Gleeson is just a shoo-in, like he's an automatic. I have never seen him turn in a performance that did not endear me to him on some level, whether it's, getting blood dripped in his eye in 28 Days Later or being Mad Eye Moody in the Harry Potter films. It doesn't matter. I love him. And um, Colin is all over I mean, like he's done a lot of different characters and I don't know, he played this one so well. I mean, and together it was just like a perfect storm. I enjoyed it immensely.
Yeah, Colin Farrell is sort of one of those people that the less commercial the movie is, the better he is or the more watchable it is. I mean, I love him in Phone Booth. I think he's great in Phone Booth. I like him in these two, in Bruges and Seven Psychopaths. I like him in Crazy Heart. He was really good in that as well, as the young buck country singer. I'm trying to think. I know a lot of people go on about Wind Talkers. They thought that he was really good in that. I didn't see that, though. That was the other...
What did I... But Cardinal Iron saw Living in Oblivion.
He did, yeah. No, I mean, it was around when Buscemi was doing his thing, I think. When Buscemi was doing his little indie, goggly-eyed, young hipster thing.
You know what I think it is about Colin Farrell in this film is that he is known for having this arrogant attitude. That's what everyone thinks about him is that he's so arrogant and he's so stuck on himself and he's so whatever. But I think you get none of that in this film. He plays this role with such humility.
Yeah.
And just almost he's a hitman and he's definitely not innocent, as you see,
right.
But there is an innocence to him. He always seems surprised whenever he meets people and they're talking about whatever, and then there's an innocence to him. It's just, and it kind of amazed me that he was able to pull that off because it's not something I expected to see. And so
yeah,
that was pleasant. It was very pleasant. And I think that's what it is. It's just, there's absolutely no arrogance to this character whatsoever. And you love him.
I mean, there's the slight kind of sort of Boris swagger about like everything is bullshit apart from the things he likes. You know what I mean? There's that, I guess. But no, you're right. And I never know with Brit or Irish stars whether it's really arrogance or whether it's just a disdain for a celebrity status or the press, because the press, especially in Europe, can be sort of almost more brutal than it is in the States, if that's to be believed. And some people like, Patrick Stewart or whatever, can have great kind of bonhomie and are very welcoming and very chatty, or someone like Jason Statham who can be chatty but to the point, but still kind of shows himself to be a polite and sort of cheeky chappy kind of guy behind the scenes. But there are other people who just have no, the Christian Bales and so on, who have no time for the media at all. And you just never know whether that's them being just a dick or whether, legitimately, if any of us were in that situation, whether we wouldn't be exactly the same. And I don't know. I mean, I know Farrell had that whole like sex tape scandal and all the rest of it in the UK, which was a thing. for a while, and there was maybe talk of like drugs and stuff. But I mean, again, I don't really get involved in that. As far as I'm concerned, the few movies I've seen him in, he's either okay or I like him in, so I've got no problem. And he's worked with some really interesting people. So as long as he kind of continues to do that and stays away from kind of big commercial films, I don't think anyone wants to see him as a comic book villain again after Daredevil. So if you can
No,
keep
but I
doing
didn't
that,
even hate him there.
Right.
I didn't. But I am pleased to hear you say that you enjoyed him in Phone Booth. No one everyone just shits all over that movie.
I love that movie.
It is unreal, but I saw that in the theater.
It's awesome.
And I really enjoyed it. I did. And as soon as I heard the voice, I was very excited because I love him. I love him too.
Right.
But I really quite enjoyed that film, and
it's a Larry Cohen script.
Why is everyone bitching so much? It's not that bad. I thought it was a pretty interesting concept.
See, it's a Larry Cohen script, and what Larry Cohen does, any of his movies from his very early ones all the way through the Maniac Cop series and beyond.
I love Larry Cohen.
He's amazing. I love him. Absolutely fucking love him. Is that he sets up his scripts, whether you like his films or not, his scripts have concepts, setups, and a beginning, middle, and end you probably haven't seen before. Like, he just does really well structured scripts. He's just really good at it. And Phone Booth is another prime example of that. And it's kind of all one setting, it's all one focus. Everything plays out to apart from maybe the setup in the idea, but everything plays out in a way that seems reasonable or recognizable or whatever within that setup. It doesn't suddenly go into like big mental craziness. That is what you would imagine would happen if that kind of stuff went down. And it's a really interesting concept, and it's done really well. And I don't even mind Schumacher. Like, everyone has a go at Joel Schumacher, and I'm like, yes, he made a couple of bad Batman movies that you personally don't like, which is absolutely fine. But beyond his Batman movies, Joel Schumacher's made some amazing movies that are really good fun to watch. Like Lost Boys and like St. Elmo's Fire and Phone Booth and a ton of stuff. So I'm not even a Schumacher.
I have no problem with Schumacher except for the Batman films that I personally don't like.
Right. Well, I don't like them either. I'm just saying.
But apart from that, I really have no problem with him. I think he's turned out some very interesting stuff, and I love Flatliners.
Right.
Love it. And let me tell you, that movie is the perfect movie for playing some 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. That one movie, Flatliners, will get you all over the fucking place.
Or JFK.
It's fantastic.
JFK, because JFK has like a million famous people in it and Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is about Kevin Bacon that he always ends up being in these fantastic ensemble casts with like 37 other famous people. Yeah. But it's really good for a game.
Because it means you can do Marilyn Monroe to Kevin Bacon in 2 moves through Jack Lemmon and JFK. That's how I always do it.
See?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We should do a live version of 6 Degrees one night.
We should. In fact,
we're not gonna do a movie. We're just going to talk about We're just going to play 6 Degrees Kevin Bacon.
Of all the film podcasts I've ever. Sorry, love.
We can do it. Of all the films, what?
I'm sorry, love. I keep interrupting. Of all the film podcasts I've ever done, this is the first time that game has been brought up. And to quickly answer Wolfways in the chat room, she says, I really need to see Horrible Bosses. And to say what Gary Hill is saying in the chat room about Colin Farrell being really funny in Horrible Bosses. Colin Farrell and Kevin Spacey, and to some extent Jennifer Aniston, but I didn't think she was very good in it. But Colin Farrell especially is the best thing about that movie. After the bosses leave in the first 5 minutes of the film, the rest of the film is horrible. So no, Cindy, you don't need to see Horrible Bosses.
Yes, you do. That film is very funny. Don't listen to the uptight British man. The film is very funny. Oh. No, it's not. It is not. It's
Charlie
very funny.
Day. Charlie fucking Day needs to be strangled or beaten to death with a shoe.
It's a funny movie. Check it out. Yes.
Anyway, back to In Bruges.
But she wants to know more about Colin Farrell's sex tape, is what she wants to know.
Oh, Colin Farrell's sex tape. I forget who it was with as well. It was with another kind of celebrity media courting reality TV type bimboette. I forget her fucking name now. Some English page 3 girl type. I forget. blonde thing. But it was all a thing in England. It was no big. It was just a sex tape. I mean, it was like any other sex tape. There's no sort of big story behind it. But
Well, I think she wants to watch it.
I'm sure you can Google Colin Farrell sex tape and find it online. It's like all sex tapes. It's unpleasant to watch because it's filmed with the worst video camera in Scotland. I don't really understand why famous people, when they make sex tapes, use the grainiest, shittiest cameras when they have all that money. If they really want to fuck on screen and make money off it, go down to a studio, rent some decent cameras, rent some lights. Do it properly, people. You've got the money to do so. Don't disrespect yourself with some handheld piece of shit you bought from Walmart for $49.
Maybe they're thinking it'll give it sort of a realistic, gritty approach,
Fuck that.
like the Blair Witch of sex tapes or something. Dustin Diamond went all out and made his sex tape when he was trying to save his house.
Yeah.
Did you
I'm
ever
all
see
for that. The
didn't
more
see that.
Jew-frozen sex tapes, the better.
That should be a subcategory. Why
Yeah.
is that not a subcategory of porn?
No idea.
Jufro sex tapes.
Jufro sex tape. Gary Hill is saying there's a character called Motherfucker Jones. What else do you want? And I would say, Gary, I want a funny script and
It is.
better actors to do that.
And they're
funny script.
fantastic.
I love Sudeikis in SNL, but he's yet to find a good role to play in a film. He could be the Dan Aykroyd or the new Dan Aykroyd because he's really good at doing multiple characters, but he keeps getting cast as like the know-it-all slimy friend, and it's just unfunny. Charlie Day needs to be beaten to death with a length of lead pipe. Jamie Foxx is awful in everything, even when his name is Motherfucker Jones. Jennifer Aniston should go back to doing what she was doing and maybe do some films like The Good Girl and Office Space again, and stop trying to do like, look, it's Jennifer Aniston and I'm wearing a bra and panties and saying the word fuck, because she doesn't look comfortable doing it. She might say that that's more her sense of humor in reality, and she might say that she's more sexual in reality than she's portrayed as America's sweetheart or whatever she says, but she's not very fucking good at it. So she should stop doing it and go back to doing movies like The Good Girl and Office Space and movies like that, where she's actually a very good comedian and a very good actress, and she doesn't give herself credit doing shit like Horrible Bosses. That's
Which
my
I
feeling.
thoroughly enjoyed. But
Fair
I
enough.
also liked Meet the Millers, so.
But you see, now I liked Meet the Millers. That was a different type of movie. That was a better movie. Plus, Charlie Day wasn't in it. So.
Oh man, Cardinal Iron brings up the Paris Hilton being the Blair Witch of sex tapes as they use night vision. I saw that tape. It was not good.
Yeah.
But you know what? Every sex tape I've ever done is a found footage sex tape, because I'll come across something years later. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then you pop it in. Oh. So that's already a subgenre that exists when you get old and lose your mind.
I've never done a sex tape. I don't think I've ever done a sex tape. No, I did one sex tape, and I think we watched it back together right after we did it, and fast forwarded through it because we were just like, oh no, I don't, and we deleted it immediately. Like we watched, we were like, this is horrible.
Yeah, it's
this
really
is the
not
worst thing I've
something
ever
that
seen.
I want to see.
No.
It's not.
No.
And I don't recall Paris Hilton's sex tape having night vision either, but I could be recalling them wrong.
She goes down on the person in a very boring, slow, unadventurous way. Like the joke about Paris Hilton's sex tape is that all it did was prove that not only is she not a very interesting person, a terrible actress, a terrible whatever, everything in real life, that she has no talent for sex either. Like the fact that she got famous off a sex tape in which all the sex tape proves is that categorically she's one of the most tedious people you could probably ever have sex with. I mean, I don't understand it. The world's fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
Why we're talking
Well,
about
the
this and
Tanya
not
Harding
in Bruges,
one,
I'm
too.
not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. In Bruges,
Because
yeah,
what we
'cause
have to
were
say about
talking
in Bruges is that
because
it's
we were
really
talking
good.
about in Paris.
Right, in Paris with Hilton. Yeah, in whatever it is.
But back to In Bruges. there are several things about it that you can't really give away, or that I don't want to give away,
Right.
and because I want people to see this film. If you haven't seen it, then you should see it.
Yes.
It's very funny. It's very charming. It's heartwarming. It's upsetting at times. You know,
Very upsetting.
I got a little upset at one point, and but it's okay. You know, it's so good that it's okay if I got a little upset. And
Yeah, there's an underlying. It's interesting because I saw Calvary recently, which, as I said, is the second movie made by his brother. But I mean, all four movies share a common DNA in their writing and their direction. And although I would not recommend people go out and see Calvary because it was sold incorrectly and it is not the movie you think it's going to be, and in fact the movie it is not particularly very good, but the underlying examination of life, death, heaven, hell, good, bad, which seem like big broad strokes but are handled in very kind of nice light touches in both films, is common to both these films. And in fact there is more, you know, beneath the hilarious dialogue and beneath the swearing and beneath the somewhat, and I mean this in as a just, it's just beneath the sort of somewhat cliched and banal plot. I mean, I don't mean that as a negative. I just mean it's just you know, there's not much to it. Beneath all that, there's a really good kind of examination of what it all means and what Colin Farrell has done, what that means, and what Brendan Gleeson's character decides from the back of that to do and why he's doing it. And it makes it a much more interesting movie, and it makes it one of those movies where you can watch it several times and get more out of it each time.
I think that is absolutely true. Yeah.
But if people...
And I plan to. It's a movie that you want to.
Yes.
You know, because I was thinking, while I was watching this, I was thinking to myself, you know, this is a movie I can see myself watching rather regularly. You know, I can see wanting to just say, hey, I feel like watching In Bruges. You know, like I frequently say, hey, I feel like watching Boogie Nights, or hey, I feel like watching Pulp Fiction, or hey, I feel like watching Friday the 13th. There are a lot of them that I do that with, but I can see slipping this into the rotation because I enjoy the characters that much.
Yeah, I agree, completely agree, and I would say that I've seen everything by these two guys, and Seven Psychopaths, I give In Bruges kind of a 4 out of 5. I give Seven Psychopaths maybe a 3.5 out of 5. I really enjoy the cast of that movie. I think it gets lost about 2 acts in, but I still think it's a really worthwhile watch. And then The Guard, I probably give 4.5 out of 5 because I think The Guard is probably the greatest movie out of the 4 of them. I absolutely loved The Guard.
You said manky hookers. Not
manky hookers. That makes more sense. Sure.
Manky hookers and a racist dwarf.
Yeah, manky makes sense. Sure, manky's like skanky.
I apologize for pushing the wanky, but you were still wrong about the skanky.
It won't be the first, the last, or whatever time, so don't worry about it.
As for this film,
But don't go see Calvary, that was my other point. So out of the 4 films, I think Calvary's the least thing.
And you know, that's a shame because you were really excited to see that.
Yes, I was, yeah. And I have a Diner episode on it that's been recorded. It's just in the vault waiting to be put out when I have a week when I can't do anything else.
But you said you would give this a 4. I was tossing that because I always rate my films on Netflix, and I actually, because you can't do half points on Netflix, so, which is interesting because when they give you the film average, they'll give you all kinds of points, but you can only do whole numbers. But
same with IMDb.
So I gave it a 5 because what I would actually give it is a 4.5, and I generally round up unless something pisses me off and makes me round down. But
yeah, on Netflix it's a 5, definitely.
But I did give it a 5 on Netflix. So I think it's safe to say that we both recommend this film if you have not seen it. If you have seen it, then you likely know why we're recommending it. If you haven't, then get on that shit.
What a surprise. It's all old buildings and that. Yeah. I told you, you'd only be able to go out tonight if you came round the old buildings with me today. And I didn't mean being a snotty little shit either. I didn't agree to that. Sorry.
Do I go to the right or to the left?
Yeah.
Well, you go to the right, don't you?
You can see it just from looking out the door.
Canal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cute. They're so adorable. And there's some serious stuff. There's some dark stuff that goes on in this film, but there's some really lighthearted, fun stuff too. It's a beautiful balance, a beautiful mix, and I'm glad that I finally got around to seeing it. I'm sad that it took me so fucking long, but I finally did.
Yeah.
So there.
And I think The Guard was on Netflix, but is no longer. But it is out and about there somewhere. And if not, Jamie, I can hook you up because you definitely, if you like Gleeson, you need to see The Guard.
Oh, I love Gleeson. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I even after Calvary, I'll watch anything Gleason's in. He's
What
good
was I
times.
talking about? Oh, Bo and I were discussing The Guard, and because he is also a big Gleeson fan, and I mean, who wouldn't be?
Right.
Really? I mean, have you ever heard anyone say, "Oh, that's Brendan Gleeson. I hate that guy."
No. And in fact, I have to go back and revisit. There was another movie that was very popular way back when called I Went Down, which had Gleeson in it. I believe it's called I Went Down. Called Gleeson in it, which was sort of an Irish comedy crime thing.
I mean, the
Much
most
in the vein
egregious thing I've ever
of this.
heard anyone say about him is when they call him Brandon, which gets under my skin. I hate that
Well, because
shit.
Brandon is more of an American name. You wouldn't really get an Englishman.
People call Brendan Fraser. People call him Brandon Fraser all the time, and I'm like, God damn it, read the name.
Right. People who are morons, though, love. We don't pay any attention to them.
If any people out there do that, stop it.
Right. The
Just
only
stop.
people that I purposely mess up their names is when I dislike them. So, for example, Kellen Lutz becomes Ellen Klutz, and so on. Also, because it's funny. The Beard says he goes down often. It's customary. It is customary, Beard. So yeah. Every man should go down. But then I would also argue it's then customary, although not obligatory. It is customary then that the woman return in favor. It's not obligatory. It's not forced. But I would say
it has to be obligatory.
What?
I don't think it has to be obligatory.
No.
I think it just should be.
Right. But I'm just saying. Yeah. Okay.
No,
Yes.
I know what you're saying, and I'm saying, no, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, I know you are. Yeah. But go see fucking In Bruges. It's fucking great.
It is, and it's on Netflix. So there's let's see, excuses.
No excuses.
I have nothing.
And is
So-
Seven Psychopaths still on Netflix as well? I think you could probably do a double bill.
I don't know.
I think
But
it
there's a
is.
search feature there that you can easily find out if you want to know. So you can all look that up when you go to watch In Bruges.
And Seven Psychopaths has my favorite guy in it, Christopher Walken. Wow, such a performance in that film. Like all films, check it out. Love it. Also
I
has
didn't know
Tom
he was going
Waits.
to be here tonight. I'm so excited.
Yeah. It also has Tom Waits.
Which is always good.
Yes. Yes.
Is Michael Caine here too?
Maybe I could say. If Michael bloody Caine could come on the show and talk to you right now.
You know, really, that's the only reason I invite you on this show is so that you can entertain me.
Is that what it is, then, Martin?
It's all about me.
I understand that. Listen, Master Wayne. Some people just want to watch the world burn.
God, I love you. All right.
Alfred, do you ever say anything that makes any fucking sense? No. Master Wayne, all I do is talk in pretentious fortune cookie style dialogue to everyone because it's Christopher bloody Nolan will then say it's the best fucking thing they've ever heard, when really it's mostly bullshit.
And then he's going to draw on the chalkboard a picture of the man that they're looking for.
Yeah. that's an in joke, that is. I've drawn a picture here on the chalkboard. He's got a deerstalker hat and everything, so go out and find him.
Oh, golly.
Everyone who's seen the Jack the Ripper miniseries with him and Jane Seymour will know what we're talking about. That's all of 3 people.
That's hilarious. Okay. So I guess that brings us to a close. Basically, what we're saying is watch In Bruges.
Yes.
Don't be a dick. Watch the movie.
Yeah.
And
My Michael Caine has actually driven 5 people away from listening to us tonight, so that's good.
oh, No, it hasn't. They just went to clean out their ears so they could hear you better. They'll be
Sure.
back. Um, next week, Matt will be joining me again. He will be back from his little wedding hiatus, and
Yes,
I'll be
congrats,
pleased
Matt,
to
on the
welcome
wedding.
him home. And I believe we're going to be watching the Mark Wahlberg film, The Shooter. I,
No!
is it bad?
It's Mark Wahlberg.
I love Mark
I
Wahlberg.
can't stand Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, I see what you did there. So you messed up his name because you don't like him.
No, hang
Yeah.
on. Mark, it would be better if his name was Mark Bulwerg. That would be better. Because he is
um,
Bulwark.
Anyway, I think that's the movie that we're going to be discussing. We talked about that briefly before he left. So unless he's changed his mind while he's been gone, but I'm certain that the last thing that has been on his mind was what we're going to be watching when he comes back. So you might be looking out for that. It's on Netflix if you want to watch it, and then that way you'll be prepared for discussion. Do that, and then if we end up not discussing it, well, then you've watched it for nothing. But it's not my fault, is it? Uh, Thanks again, Jon, for joining me on this episode of Direct to Video Connoisseur.
You're most welcome, my dear.
Matt and I are both extremely appreciative of you being willing to fill in 2 weeks in a row.
No
And
worries. Happy to do it. Whatever you need.
and I have thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed having you here. If you want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at /Maven1974 or on Facebook, same thing. You can find me there and I'll tell you anything you want to know. If you want to find Jon, well, all you got to do is hang on for about a minute because Jon's going to be right back and he's going to be playing some music for you that is going to fill your ears with the dulcet tones of, oh, well, him. You're playing your music tonight, aren't you?
I'll be back, yes, with some music coming up anytime now. And yes, I think tonight I'm going to be playing music that I myself have written and performed.
That's fun stuff. I
Which-
love Jon's music.
I mean, I hope that's okay. I hope that's not like massively egotistical or crazy or anything like that. But yeah, I'm going to be playing my music and some music that my friends are involved in. I've picked some out from various bands and other things that I've collaborated with. But yeah,
Yay.
yay!
Okay, well, I guess that's it. We'll be back. Matt and I will be back next week at 8 p.m. So join us here then on the Second Unit Broadcast Network. Coming up next is some music from Jon.
Yay!
See ya.
Bye.